And there is real belief around the league that this job is going to be JJ Redick's to lose, but he is color commentating for the NBA Finals right now, and the Lakers will continue to move along in this process that they have with no real timetable for a hiring.
James Borrego, who's been coaching since 2001, I'm sure loves being put in the sentence with the guy they're infatuated with. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, listen, I think the whole concern is what you just said, the inexperience, the youth. He's never done it before, but I also think that helps him. There's no bad resume. There's no blips on his, on his resume right now, and he does know the game. Now, does that translate to him being a good coach? That hasn't worked all the time. Darvin Ham knew the game. Steve Nash knew the game. There's really good players that knew the game that didn't correlate to a good coach.
Sure.
So, listen, I think it can go one of two ways. I just think the expectations to win a championship right away and your first ever coaching job is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that's what people are like kind of open-eyed about, like, can he handle this? Can he get respect from the locker room? We know he knows the game. We know he's great on TV commentating and the play-by-plays. He's fresh out.
It's a little sensitive, no, for a high-profile job like this?
Yeah, well, listen, if you're sensitive about this kind of stuff and you're taking the Lakers job, when you go on a losing streak, that's what comes with it. That's what comes with media. That's what comes with these kind of jobs. And a lot of times coaches get raw deal. I think JB Bickerstaff just got a raw deal, and he did a really good job. So even doing a good job, getting wins sometimes, isn't enough in the NBA. So I think he's young enough, he's good enough on TV that if it doesn't work out, he will always have a job, on TV. But it's just there's high expectations for this job, and there's a must win. And where the situation of this team is right now is so many unanswered questions, and where they're moving. Is LeBron going back? There's a lot of unanswered questions, and JJ Redick, there's going to be a lot on his plate when he takes his job. But at the end of the day, it is the Lakers. It's a huge gig.
It's a hell of a first job.
Congrats, because it is an awesome first job for sure. I just don't want it to end, in a dumpster fire when they don't win a championship the next 3 years and he's the next scapegoat.
Does anyone else cringe when, Shams is reporting the news on this and it's like the Lakers say they're looking for someone for the next 5 or 6 years when none of us, I think none of us believe anybody's lasting 6 years in that organization. That's not been the track record for the very near past. So I don't know. This whole thing, I don't know what they're doing. It just seems like a splashy hire, and I'm not sure what the point is.
JJ and I, we haven't crossed paths very much in our careers and our lives. Don't really know him personally. We've competed against each other for a number of years. I'm rooting for him. I want him to be successful. I want it to be something that he can turn into a worthwhile career and be a reputable coach in the NBA for years to come. I just hate that this is the start. As a player, I'm sure he's seen the amount of criticism that coaches that have had this seat have endured throughout the years, and now for you to step into that seat after the type of season that they've had in the last couple of seasons with so much surrounding Coach Ham and the Lakers and LeBron, and now you're bringing in the Bronny X factor of people having conversations about that, and it's going to be a lot to manage for a guy who's going to be a rookie head coach and one of the most sought out jobs in all of sports, not just basketball. So, I wish him well. I hope it works out, but it's going to be a tough mountain to climb for him.
The interesting thing for me is they just did this with the first-time head coach with Darvin Ham, and it didn't pan out.
That's
right?
the confusing part.
That's the only part that confuses me is that just happened. So I thought they'd go with an experienced guy, a guy that's been a head coach, a Borrego, an Atkinson, a JB Bickerstaff, someone like that that's been there before. But on the flip side, he is a young, fresh face. He's almost a celebrity with how much you see him on TV, the podcast. So he almost fits that culture of the Lakers. He's fresh out.
Is that right?
He's fresh out to where he knows the players. He can probably be very good at recruiting and free agent meetings. They're always going to have the backing of the Lakers. It's always going to be LA. So it could work. It could very much well work. And now they get a young coach for the future. It just hasn't in a really long time here. So that's where the optimism comes.
Is he too fresh out to have respect just given to him by players that are only a few years younger?
Well, maybe on the Lakers, yes. On a young rebuilding team, no. I think kids would look up to him. I think kids would look up to the great JJ Redick from Duke, the guy on TV, the guy with the big podcast, the guy that's fantastic calling games. You know what I mean? So that type of team, yes. Now, when you have a podcast with LeBron James and he is the face of the franchise, that also helps when you have him in your pocket and you guys are on the same page. So if that relationship is strong, I do think it'll trickle down the rest of that roster, and I think he'll have some success early. They're gonna always swing for the fences, adding new pieces, but it's just a lot for a first-time coach that has never coached in the industry before.
Like not even a little bit.
Not even
Like
kind of, not on a
Assistant
bench, not on
coach, summer league, nothing.
Nothing.
You know, it's gonna be crazy. And
That would be like this like an NFL team hiring Romo just because he's really good on TV with zero coaching
Correct.
experience, zero assistant, no
Yeah.
front office, nothing.
That's exactly what it'd be like.
So it's
We would crush. Although they did do that with Jeff Saturday at the Colts, but it was temporary and it didn't
How did
last
it go?
forever. It's temporary and it didn't last forever. But yeah, I mean, it's and he was a very loved
And didn't he
dude,
play
loved player.
like on the Colts and like played there?
Yeah, he was a player there, former player.
this is high risk. You know, if JJ is very successful in the things that he's doing right now with everything that we just mentioned, and you go get this job, it doesn't work out, and you try to go back to that kind of puts a
Interesting.
cloud on everything that you've built.
Like if he goes back to TV.
Yeah.
I got a question for Sean.
That puts everything that you've built kind of in jeopardy as
Not
far
as
as the
gold.
fans go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shams, can
I
he
can see
still
that.
do his own podcast
That's what I was
as the
wondering.
head coach of the Lakers?
The 3 men
No,
and a baby or
absolutely not.
whatever.
Now, can
That's
he?
the question that I've been asked by people, but I mean, theoretically, it's hard to do that. You know, if you're still doing it with your star player. You know, let's say you're on a back-to-back or
No chance.
3-game losing streak, and you're recording like the question around the league also with a guy like whoever is going to be the coach, right? JJ Redick, especially first-time head coaches, it's a totally different grind when it comes to coaching and the hours and everything like that. So that's going to be something to translate as well. And just when you look at this job overall, whoever the Lakers go with, JJ Redick, otherwise. The job is about coaching and getting the best out of Anthony Davis. He's the one who's 31 years old in the prime of his career. He has a runway to be a Laker far longer than LeBron James is. LeBron James is going to play up to 2 more NBA seasons for what I'm told. Anthony Davis's runway is going to be much longer than that in LA, potentially. And so hiring the right coach for him, and obviously he's had a rapport with James Borrego, but at the end of the day, this is where the Lakers are at in their process.
Hear me out on this. So if I'm Anthony Davis and I am the building block for this franchise moving forward, and I want James Borrego, and then they don't hire him and hire JJ Redick, and he still does the podcast with LeBron James.
Can't do it.
Is Anthony Davis going to be cool with that?
No, he can't. But he
Absolutely.
could do his. Well, he's not even
He
gonna do that.
can't do the podcast. Can you imagine losing a game?
No.
And your head coach is on his podcast the
No.
next day discussing other issues besides the Los Angeles Lakers?
Well, think about it. When Draymond
do
would
it.
go do his podcast like the night
Even
of a
Dray-
loss,
and he got
it
criticized.
ruffled feathers.
And he's
I
a
also
player.
just feel like as the head coach of the Lakers, you have a lot on your plate, so you can't be doing all these other.
Yeah, coaches get rid of their social media when they become coaches because it's
Yeah.
just like you don't need the distraction. You
It
don't
is
need
fascinating, though. I'm curious to see how that pans out because obviously
I wish him
it's
well,
never
man.
happened.
All of it's fascinating.
Wish him well is just a lot.
It's just very LA, and for that I say thank you for what we do.